What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bear Down Boys podcast. Right next to me is Jay Rice Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and right below me is just some dude. If you don't know him by now, his name is Miller Football. He's just a 20-year-old college student, not a GM.
you pulled together like 3 different versions of intros I've done and mashed them into a horrible amalgamation.
At least you know I watch your content.
I do now, yeah. Still not as cringe as the one night where I tried to leave the place. Or no, you weren't there. It was when we left D&D the other night. I tried to sign off by doing my outro, and Valente was a fan of it. And then I said it, and I was like, ew, that's gross. I'm just going to go now. Because it was like 2 a.m. and I thought it would be funny. And then it was like, no, this isn't funny. This is chronically online. This is a problem.
We are all chronically online.
I'm just happy you remembered the name of the podcast this time, but you know.
I did. I agree. Or similar letters. I'm like dyslexic and like half dyslexic, so rather than asking you guys how you are, I do care about how you are, but today I want to ask you a more important question. Since we just cut down the rosters, what current Bears player would you take in a zombie apocalypse, like as your partner?
Ooh. Okay.
I know you're a big Walking Dead fan, Miller, so.
Because I'm trying to think, because I feel like most people are going to look at that question, they're going to be like, who's the biggest guy? You know? Like, but like you said, I know The Walking Dead. The biggest guy isn't always the best option, because he's going to be slower, he's going to drag you down, bigger target for zombies to bite. Because the first thing that came to mind was actually the newest bear, Dan Feeney. Because that dude seems like a fucking party animal, and he's also massive, and I feel like he'd be fun. But I feel like surviving with him would be tough. I also don't want somebody that's faster than me, which is tough because I'm very slow.
They're all professional athletes, Miller.
Right, so I think I'm kind of beat there unless I go with Coach Flus. Even then, Coach Flus is probably dusting me.
I don't know. I have an answer just off the top of the dome. The best answer is Roshan Johnson. Listen, bro. Built like a truck, fast as shit. So, you know, he's basically like a pretty good survivor, like all the way around. And also, you know, where he was born and raised was Southeast Texas. We have so many guns. Everyone owns a gun. It's the most redneck place ever.
Yeah,
it's wins all the way around. There's no negatives there.
Yeah, because Roshan's a great answer because he's also only like 6 foot tall, so it's not like he's some crazy big target. Because all the names that are first coming to mind for me: Tremaine Edmonds, Tevin Jenkins, Cole Kmet, all my favorite players. They're big. They're too big. Like, if you're trying to sneak around in the woods, one of their big ass heads is going to be popping out of the tree, or not popping out of the trees, but popping out behind trees, and they're going to be an easy target. I almost feel like, even breaking it down, the most popular answer is the right one in Fields. Because Justin's fast. So he's okay. Hear me out, right? He's fast, so he's going to be like a good runner for supply runs. He's smart. We know he's incredibly smart. He's resourceful. He's creative. He seems like a nice guy. Like, I think Fields might be the wave. The only thing with me is I'm also trying to think of somebody that I might relate to a little easier. Because no offense, but I feel like me and Justin outside of the Bears probably don't have a lot to talk about.
So why isn't Jake Sanborn in this conversation?
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. Someone like Sanborn, or if I really want someone that's going to relate to me, it would be like Pat Scales.
Not even a Kari consideration?
I mean, what am I... With Kari, it would be awkward because the whole time I'd be like, hey, do you like playing fullback? Hey, when this whole thing's over, do you think the fullback position will still be alive? Hey, can you go truck that zombie? Like, he would hate me. He would get annoyed with me so quick because every 5 minutes I'd have something to ask him about fullbacks. But me, I'm a goofy, corny white guy, right? We all know this. This isn't a secret. So I almost feel like I'd have to go with a goofy, corny white guy. So Fields might be the right answer, but I think I'm going to go Pat Scales. Honestly, it's either for me, it's either Scales or Kmet, because I feel like I could vibe with both of them, and they all hit my criteria. Komet's a little tall, but who knows? Maybe that'll work for me.
Fair enough.
Because, like, fucking no, he died. I'm trying to think of tall Walking Dead characters, and they all died.
I stopped watching after like season 4, so I can't even tell you.
Negan was tall. Negan was tall and lanky. He didn't die. So
I thought Negan died, but no, he's with Maggie now, and that spin-off.
In the spin-off show that I haven't watched yet, and I'm so mad at myself because I need.
It hasn't even come out. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's out. I watched the first episode, but I haven't watched it since because I'm waiting for my family to watch it, and they take forever to watch things.
See, I gotta go. I think you're on the right track with Fields, but I also think that Fields might just psych himself out because we've seen he gets a little frisky in like the pocket when stuff starts breaking down.
Okay.
I think you got to go with Jaquan Brisker.
Okay.
Bro is I think he's just the perfect person like to deal with that. I think he's got the versatility, he's got the strength, he's speedy, but like I think bro is gonna help you out because he's a safety. He's got to help at the corners, so he's selfless. So like bro's gonna help you out. I think I'm gonna take Jaquan Brisker to the zombie apocalypse.
I feel like y'all had actual like logical answers, and I'm like Southeast Texas and guns, America, and that's all. That's my.
To be fair, in the zombie apocalypse, it's kind of all you need is
because like
guns.
Listen, everyone around here they hunt. I'm one of like the select few who don't, but everyone around here hunting is like the thing to do. So I assume he lived here. He knows how to hunt. It's a.
See, I grew up around guns, so I'm chilling. I don't need someone who was already trained. I can simply teach them myself. Just imagine me and Pat Scales out in the middle of the woods somewhere, me teaching him how to hold a handgun.
I don't know. Pat Scales he seems like a guy who'd know how to
That's
hunt.
True. Pat Scales probably does hunt. What am I
just
talking
picture him
about?
in some like I don't know.
Nah,
some,
dude,
like,
there's
fishing gear
exactly. There's definitely a picture of him out there with like camo draped all over his face, like a floppy camo hat and full camo clothing after a hunting trip. Pat Scales definitely hunts. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm Googling that right now. There's got to be a picture out there.
There has to be. But moving into more serious things about the Bears instead of a zombie apocalypse, that's probably never going to happen, but you never know. It could always, one day we wake up and we're like Rick Grimes. But anyways, we played our last preseason game. I don't think we really need to talk about it that much. It kind of was just kind of a throwaway game. Nothing really big happened. I mean, the Stars played for a little bit, but otherwise we are down to our 53-man roster. I know all of us have big thoughts. We've been posting on Twitter a lot of reactionary stuff, but we've had about 24 hours-ish from the cut time. So what are your current thoughts about the current roster before we get into specifics about players that were upset about getting cut or excited that didn't get cut?
I mean, the only issue I have with this roster is the same one I had going into the preseason, and that's the edge group. Like, I'm pretty happy everywhere else because we either have a guy that I'm confident in as a starter right now, or I'm confident in their upside. Whereas the edge group, obviously, I'm happy with Yannick, but that's kind of it. Like, DeMarcus Walker, I think will be fine. Rasheem Green, I got to see literally anything from because he didn't do it in the preseason. Dom Rob's still playing like a wide receiver that started playing edge 2 years ago. Like, it's tough. Other than that, though, like our weaknesses from last year, the offensive line, everyone but Tevin's healthy right now. And I know people don't like him, but I think week 1 with Lucas Patrick starting will be fine. The receiver room's obviously much upgraded. The linebacker core looks way better. The secondary is way better. Like it's just the edge rushers and maybe kicker. Like I'm kind of on the fence with Cairo. But the edge group is really where I have my issues. Otherwise, I'm really happy with where this team's at right now.
I mean, Robbie's still free agent, so we should go get him. Bring him back to Chicago.
I'm telling you, do what I did in Madden. Freaking bring in Robbie, let Kwani B wear 0, give Robbie 9 back, and everybody's happy. And then, give Trent Taylor number 8 because fuck it, that would go hard.
Very fair. Also, my thing with Cairo, I think he's a good kicker. He just literally has 0 range. It's kind of tough.
Like that
versus Shaq.
Starting to get
the NFL.
Yeah, he's starting to get inconsistent on PATs, and that worries me.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's like extra points, he's dog shit. And then like any field goal, like other than that, before like, once you get into that like 50-yard range, absolutely automatic. Then once you hit like 50 to 55, it's like, and then anything after that, you're like, no, he has no shot. This man has a noodle for a leg. But I don't think of it as a huge like deal. I think we could definitely get an improvement there, but I don't think of it as like a weakness for the team.
Right. And that's why I said I'm kind of on the fence. Like I'm not on Cairo's ass saying he needs to be gone yesterday, but like I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my concerns. Is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I kind of agree though with the whole like my only real concern is the edge group is bad, to say the least. And then there was the thing where Poles in the press conference today came out and said like Gibson didn't even ask for a trade, but we still waived him for what I mean. Yeah, there's probably like practice things. Maybe he doesn't look as good as he did in like preseason games, which is what it is. But like another name that did not, he technically made the roster and then didn't, is Terrell Lewis, which I am still pissed off about. Like, I mean, again, I wasn't at practice, but from what I saw from like the live tweets from the like the insiders and reporters at practice, is Terrell Lewis was great in those, and then he goes into the preseason games and he's also like pretty great in those as well, and then it's just accounts to nothing, and we replace him with I cannot remember the dude's name.
Khalid Kareem.
Yes, that man. See, I've seen the argument for it is Lewis is like just purely a pass rusher, and Kareem is more of a like well-rounded, can do both, rush the passer and defend the run, which Eberflus is very big on. But our defense last year literally had like less sacks than some players. So that's a huge issue that we need to take care of, that maybe we need to get some of these can only rush the passer types to get some kind of pass rush.
We paid big money to one.
Okay, that's
one. That's what Yannick is.
You can't
that's the problem though. You don't want an entire edge room built off of guys that can't defend the run. Like Yannick, as happy as I am to have him, is a borderline liability as a run defender. So you want guys opposite him that can get, can set a hard edge and make plays in the run game. Like Dominique Robinson, I'm not impressed with his run defense either. So you've got him and Yannick as your two like pure pass rushers. And then you've got Green, Walker, and Kareem as your three like kind of 50-50 guys, where they can, they're okay enough rushing the passer, but they're also pretty solid run defenders. Like, I don't know, me, I'm old school. I care a lot about defensive linemen being able to stop the run. I know that might not be the consensus that matters, but it does, because people still run the ball and you need to stop it. I know that's not the sexy stuff, but like we need a guy opposite of Yannick who can set a hard edge and like kick a run back inside and allow Edmonds or Edwards or Sanborn or whoever to clean up. And Kareem's going to be a lot better at that than Terrell Lewis. And that's the big thing for me.
I guess that might be like I don't know. I'm just a big Terrell Lewis guy.
No, and I get it. I liked Lewis too. I would have kept him over Dominique Robinson, but
I would have kept both of them over Rasheem Green, who literally hasn't done anything at all. But
we keep Rasheem alive, though.
He's again one of those guys who is like supposedly. I've never seen him do anything in any game of any season ever. But he's a better against the run kind of guy. But again, literally has done nothing. Not a big fan of his as of now. He can obviously prove me wrong. It's been 3 preseason games.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Terrell Lewis is just one of those guys I would have kept, even as it's like just in the third and long situations, rotational pass rusher, because that's what he excelled at. Dominique Robinson, I actually like. I know he's very raw, as we've all said before, but again, when we drafted him, it was known he was going to take, at least a couple of years to develop. Like he hasn't played the position for very long.
Yeah.
So I would keep him around just for like the potential sake. I don't know. I feel like our defensive line though is just full of like potential guys or stuff like that. There's not really any. Given we were going to find those from the waiver wire either, but there's no like definitive, answers at defensive end or edge rusher group or anything. And I feel like that's an issue that's going to like. We maybe not like. We're talking about it now, but most Bears fans are going to be like, "Oh no, it's fine. We have a good defense." And then week 5 comes around and we have like 2 sacks, and they're going to be like, "Oh, hey, this is actually an issue."
I think the big thing this year is going to be we have a chance to get actual coverage sacks because our secondary isn't going to have Kindle Vildor starting in it. And we're not going to see Jalen Jones getting legitimate reps as a boundary corner. And we're not going to see Kyler Gordon playing out of position. And we've got Eddie Jackson healthy. So even with our what's it called? With our defensive ends not quite being up to snuff, I do think our sack production is going to go up just based off of that fact. And also, you can get more creative. You have some athletic linebackers that can get to the quarterback. I think Justin Jones is going to benefit a lot this year from not being forced to play nose tackle as a 6'3" tech. And then obviously you've got Gervon Dexter, who has sky high upside. Zach Pickens is like a fucking Maserati of a 3 tech that can come in on passing downs. Even though our defensive ends are not where they need to be, objectively speaking, I don't think the sack production is going to be the issue with that. I think the issue is going to lie more in run defense. And I think it's going to lie more in the down-to-down consistency of getting pressure on the quarterback.
Very fair points.
Also, real quick, with the Travis Gibson thing, the big thing there, at least from the way polls explained it, was the scheme thing, which I'm not surprised by. Gibson feels like he should be more of a stand-up edge instead of having his hand in the dirt. Because, if you look at just the numbers the past 2 seasons, his last year in a 3-4 defense standing up, he had, 7 sacks coming in for Khalil Mack, who was hurt. First year in Matt Eberflus's defense, he might have had a sack or 2. That, on his end, makes sense. Wanting to get out. And then obviously we saw in the preseason he was getting a lot of PT and was coming in as the 3rd edge rusher, or not even the the 3rd guy off the bench. So the 4th or 5th edge rusher, and wasn't, getting a lot of snaps with starters still on the field. So it seemed like he was buried in the rotation. So it made sense for both sides to move on from him, despite how good he looked in the preseason. And if we're being totally honest, Khalid Kareem looked just as good as Gibson and Lewis did in the preseason. His production was even similar. I think Lewis might have had 1 more sack, but I think Kareem had more TFLs. So it balances out. Either way, we are arguing over who's going to be the 3rd edge rusher in arguably the worst edge rotation in football.
Cox versus Austin Hooper.
Not even Mo Alley Cox versus Austin Hooper. This is Dane Sanzenbacher versus Devin Armashadu. This is
what was the last name you just pulled out of?
Shit. What
was the last name you just pulled out?
Do you not remember Devin Armashadu?
I've never heard that name in my life.
We're number 19, played for the Bears and Vikings.
What was his number? Because if I was a kid,
19.
I have no idea.
Casual.
I don't know why I remember his name, but I do. But I remember
because he's got a crazy name.
Yeah, I've never heard that name.
Nah, bro.
But
Daniel Braverman. We've always had those random receivers.
This is Daniel Braverman versus
absolutely nothing.
This is Daniel Braverman versus Tanner Gentry. That's what this is. Shit versus ass.
I loved both of those players so much. I'm not gonna lie.
They're fun little fundamental funky white guys, but they weren't good at football.
Fair.
Well, now we have an actual talented funky white guy.
Yeah, shout out Trent Taylor. Best punt returner in football. Don't at me.
Now we can cut Velas. Come on.
Well, no, we got to keep.
I think that might actually be the move.
I don't think it is. God, I think they're going to hold both.
I don't know. Well, okay, so hypothetically, or I guess not even hypothetically, who do you think they're going to cut with needing to open up a roster spot?
I would assume they'd probably cut EQ before they'd cut Velas, as weird as that sounds. I could also see them making a move I don't know. I'd have to have the 53 man in front of me to remember who all's there. I'm still not. This is going to sound crazy. Deontay Foreman, maybe.
That is, sir. We did carry 4 running backs, and not including Kari.
Yeah.
So I think that probably honestly would be what they would do. Which I know Homer was signed to be, a passing back, but I felt honestly, I didn't think it was likely he was going to make the roster. I don't know if that was just a dumb opinion that I had, but I didn't think he was going to, and he did. So that's something.
Yeah, like I like Homer, not even just for the pass blocking, but he's going to be good on special teams. We carried Jalen Jones, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. He's
him and Josh Blackwell.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I could see them waiving one of those two.
I want him to keep Jalen Jones.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm hoping for it, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Maybe even Rasheem Green gets cut. Let me look here. AJ Thomas already got dropped off.
I think it's crazy that we had, like Josh Blackwell and oh my God, we literally just said his name,
Jalen
Jones. We're like both had like significant playing time and started games for us last year.
Now there's your answer.
Barely on the roster.
Tevin Jenkins just got put on IR for the first 4 weeks. So for the first 4 weeks, there's your answer.
Oh, so
I literally saw that and like it didn't register in my mind that clears open a roster spot.
Plus, I'm pretty sure Kramer just got put on IR too.
What? I did not see that one either.
Okay,
I could be wrong. Maybe that was speculated.
I saw I don't remember what account it was. Someone speculated he might.
Yeah, because he didn't practice today.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Cole also didn't practice. I just want to point out, I searched up Doug Kramer on Twitter, and this abomination came up.
Do you see what that is? Do you know the way?
Why?
I don't know. I don't know what relation this holds to Doug Kramer.
Dude, Jesus Christ, that meme's like 7 years old.
But yeah, it says, "Follow me, brothers. Do you know the way?" That almost sounded racist the way I said that. But that was the way it was said.
That was like when I was in high school, which now you saying 7 years ago makes me feel old.
It was like 2016, 2017, so 6, 7 years ago. Like it's been a while. We had a few new additions that we've already talked about a little bit, but the one big one I think that we talked about a little bit, I think either was before the recording or right at the beginning, was Dan Feeney, who Miller will be enjoyed by that he took fullback snaps, but is mostly an inside lineman who I believe will start at our center position. We'll move Whitehair to guard.
I don't think he's going to start. Patrick's going to start at center.
But I think Feeney might just be better than Patrick.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know enough about him as a player to say whether or not I think he's better than Patrick. Like he's very similar to Patrick in the sense that he has that versatility to play guard and center. But I think Patrick's experience with Getsy and the fact that he has like chemistry and actual reps with the team is probably going to give him the edge to start. But I do think Feeney will just be I think Feeney will be the backup center.
I think just Patrick is just like Getsy is a big fan of his. I think that's been made well aware. And honestly, like I know Patrick was pretty rough last season, but he also, didn't really get a lot of practice time. He kept dealing with consistent injuries throughout the whole year.
He was trying to snap the ball with a fucked up hand last year, and people acted like he was the worst center of all time. Like, you try snapping a football when your fingers are taped together and tell me how far you get the ball.
He's still probably better than Sam Esper.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that he wasn't he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad at center. It was more so when he was put at guard that people made a big deal out of it. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
They just didn't like Patrick. That's all I remember.
I feel like he wasn't half bad at center. It was just the guard position he was struggling with.
That does sound right, because I think at that point Mustapher got kicked in, because that was when Cody was hurt for a little bit, right? Or was that when Tevin was hurt?
I think
that whole last season on the offensive line's a fucking blur because there were so many moves at so many different
Braxton Jones holding down the fort.
Yeah, Braxton Jones and Larry Borum were the two consistent people. Or no, that's not even true because Borum split snap, so it was just Braxton.
I'm going to point out Larry Borum made the roster, and I'm kind of happy about it. I don't know. I'm even though he's been, I don't know, very inconsistent. I'll use that word for most of his career. I feel like he's improved a lot within the last year. I don't think he should be a starter, but just as like a depth piece at tackle, I don't hate it.
Yeah, Borum I'm okay with as a swing tackle, but I don't want him starting ever because, like you said, he is incredibly inconsistent to where he's not someone you want to rely on. But if you got to put him in at a pinch, you feel pretty good about it. And that's kind of how I feel about Dan Feeney from what I've been able to pull together. Is he's almost like a swing interior offensive lineman instead of a swing tackle.
See, with Feeney, I'd like even him not having to start. I just feel like him as a player still benefits the team. You always have to have a certain amount of those like meathead football players. You know, the mullet, the mustache, the beer. Like he's got
thick
everything.
Chicago accent.
He's got everything you want in an offensive lineman, especially a backup one.
Yeah, learning that he was a native made me very happy. Like that was an instant sold. Like you're a Bear.
They got to redo the video now.
I'm gonna rock with you.
All of the native players.
Yeah. And they just need to do one with Dan Feeney by himself. And just have Feeney and then have Cole and Jack sitting in the back listening so they can make comments when he says anything.
I would love that. We need.
And the reason I say two of them is because I feel like they probably also have the most. I don't want to say Cole's a meathead. I want to say Cole more knows how to handle meatheads, but Sanborn gives off meathead vibes.
Oh, definitely. Like all suburb Chicago white men.
Yeah, like today they asked Cole about Feeney, and he got a big grin on his face, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's a fun guy," and that made me happy. Like he clearly enjoys his presence. Like apparently they all went golfing, and Feeney just started throwing back beers, which I think is hilarious.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what you need on a football team. It boosts the chemistry, boosts the Americanism. Like it's amazing.
Bro,
exactly.
He's a football player.
Exactly. See, that's why my instinct with the zombie apocalypse thing was to go with Dan Feeney. I feel like he'd be a hell of a fun time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like maybe I don't want him in a zombie apocalypse, but if I had to invite one Bears player to a cookout, I think I would pick Dan Feeney.
I'd party with Dan Feeney.
Even though I don't drink. I still think Dan Feeney would be a hell of a lot of fun.
I really hope you don't drink, Miller.
No, I don't.
Bro's covering his bases.
I'm not even covering my bases. I just have no interest in alcohol.
Fair enough. Neither do I.
I can't drink. My liver doesn't work, so.
Bro's got a fucked up liver.
No, I think I had alcohol poisoning when I was in college, and then now my liver doesn't work. So
average American college experience.
Listen, Jaeger, me, not a good combo. We'll just put it that way.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Jägermeister is?
No.
It's like
Jaeger bomb.
This is very off topic of Bears, but so
is it though?
Jaeger's, I think, Chicago.
I guess.
So.
Well, listen. So when I was in college, just a random story time, there was a. So I went to my friend's house, and he used to kind of make the drinks, but he obviously didn't know what he was doing. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to try a Jaeger bomb?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard it's a pretty common thing. Like, sure, I'll try that." And it's supposed to be basically a shot of Jaeger, and then it's like a shot of Red Bull into it.
Okay.
He gave me this coffee mug full of this big coffee mug full of vodka, and then dropped a shot of Jaeger into that, and then I chugged it straight back. Literally instant death. That's actually not called a Jaeger bomb. That's called a
nuke?
Was it a car bomb or something?
Okay.
It's called a car battery or a car bomb or something like that.
That's more fitting for the fact that it's vodka, and vodka is very Russian.
I literally died. I died immediately.
I have been informed that Jaeger is a Chicago-made company, so we're still on topic.
Oh, okay, cool.
The girlfriend has informed me.
Yeah, my knowledge of alcohol is non-existent.
No, now I drink margaritas at Mexican restaurants. Like a woman,
I've never had a margarita.
Margaritas are
bomb. We're way off
topic.
We're way off topic.
Hey. Listen, there's nothing wrong with a man enjoying a stereotypically feminine drink.
I agree. I drink the fruitiest of drinks. I get bullied
this
for
is
it.
A feminist Bears podcast, okay?
Dan Feeney would definitely drink a margarita. Seems like that type of dude. That hair just seems like margarita.
Yeah, I can see that. You go out with Dan Feeney, you're expecting him to chug a beer and then crush the can on his forehead. He's just sitting there sipping a margarita.
Bro is just vibes. That's what Dan Feeney is. Dan Feeney is just vibes, and we love it.
Mm-hmm. Dan Feeney, if you're watching, please come on this podcast.
Please.
Confirm.
Well, come on the podcast. We can do a margarita episode with Dan Feeney.
Just straight up, we'll order margaritas.
I will drink my can of Coke.
just write margarita on the side of it, and then you can actually
get a sticky note. See, I can't decide if Dan Feeney would be like, bro, you're 20, just drink, or if he'd be like, respect for not breaking the alcohol age limit. Like, I can't decide what type of bro he is.
Yeah, I feel like
He
it's
feels
one
like
of those, but no in between.
He feels like he's got the Kyle Long type deal where, like, he wants you to be, like, responsible, but, like, fun at the same time.
Yeah, see, listen, I mean, we had this conversation last week. Like, if Dan Feeney's like Kyle Long, that's going to make my year, because Kyle Long's the type of dude that you look at him, you think he's a dude, bro, but like if I had an hour to sit down with that man, I'd talk to him about his facial hair routine and how he maintains his beard.
Did y'all ever? There was this YouTube video with Kyle Long. It was one of those like Jubilee like things where it was like there's like you stay in the middle of the line and then like the person said something, and if you agree with that you go like each line is like somewhat agree, very agree, like completely agree, or like disagree.
Like the Jubilee
and
stuff,
one of the first questions was like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a meathead football question, and like all the dudes go on like the agree, and then Kyle Long goes on the disagree, and they're like, the football players disagreeing with us.
That video is why I want to sit down with Kyle Long and have a deep talk about life, because I, genuinely speaking, right? Like we talk about idols, we talk about heroes in life. Obviously my dad's number one, but like out of people that I do not personally know, Kyle Long is at the top of my list, not because he's a millionaire, not because he's a famous football player, because I have never seen a large man more comfortable in his own skin in my entire life, and I want to be him for that reason. I want Kyle Long's confidence so badly, and I know if I asked him, he would just give me some like advice, like just be yourself, you're a good person, all that. And from anyone else, I'd be like, oh, okay. But from him, I'd be like, sir, yes, sir. And then I would completely change my life. Like that is the whole reason why I want to speak to Kyle Long. Not to talk about the Bears, not to talk about football, not to talk about video games. I want to learn how to be a better man from Kyle Long.
Bet on Boys podcast is just getting Miller to talk to Kyle Long.
This entire podcast, every episode has at some point delved into we love Kyle Long. Please, Kyle Long, give us attention at some point. I think it's basically just a praising Kyle Long, podcast.
We'll get him on one day. I promise.
One day.
It'll happen.
And the whole episode, we will not mention the Bears once.
Never. No. Didn't they have a falling out because the McCaskies from the McCaskies?
No, it was he didn't like Pace and Nagy.
Fair enough.
He's
no one does
still a Bears fan.
Yeah,
he loves the Bears. He said multiple times he'd love to come block for Fields, but he knows he's kind of
Nagy, basically.
Get him on the O-line
I thought it was Pace too, but yeah, either way,
it was
he didn't like that regime.
Group. Yeah,
making the guards coach, like not even the offensive line coach.
Honestly,
coach.
Yeah. The only problem with that is though we know how the McCaskies treat trying to hire former players. Remember when they tried to lowball Allen and offered him like no money to come be the offensive line coach, and that
maybe they knew he was prone to strangling his coworkers. So I would also lowball.
Honestly, and that was when Nagy was coaching, so he probably would have tried to strangle Nagy. So I kind of understand.
Fair enough.
But honestly, I would have tried to strangle Nagy too. That's not a threat, by the way.
It's promise?
That's not a threat. That's a hypothetical.
It's promise. Okay, cool.
I promise this. I try to do it in GTA 5 online RP.
We're gonna get Miller swatted.
Other things that have happened this week. One that's been very upsetting to both me and Jarrett, at least, is there's been Darnell Mooney trade rumors been floating around.
May I interject? Ryan Poles shot that shit down.
Did he? I didn't hear that.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Ryan Poles like flat out said like, listen, false. He said that and the Travis Gibson thing.
See, you guys watch the press conferences. I don't have enough time.
I didn't even see the press conference. I just saw it all over Twitter. Ryan Poles shot that shit down.
Never mind that. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Then.
I mean, he literally said when he heard about it, he laughed.
Yeah, because I don't know the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like both Mooney and Jalen Johnson are like in the long-term plans for the team.
He said they're cornerstones.
Cornerstones is the word. And he basically said like, no, I wasn't going to trade Mooney. Like it wasn't going to happen.
He's like, I'm trading Claypool in UNC tomorrow.
I was very nervous when that rumor popped up. I still didn't think it was going to happen yet because it'd be dumb given what they've done to like put the team around Fields to then be like, oh, well, before this season starts, we're going to get rid of your favorite target who you have the most chemistry
second
with.
favorite, second most chemistry.
Cool commit.
Yes, unironically, yes.
Okay, listen, that is also. I think it's pretty even.
He's had more time with Cole because Cole's been healthy the whole time. Fields
that
has
is
been around.
fair.
Mooney
I just know
time.
like Mooney and Fields. I mean, before we got like DJ Moore, was known to just be like
it was automatic, yeah.
Yeah, and then they had that. And I think it was training camp last year going into the season. They literally had an interview with Fields and Mooney just talking about how much they like enjoyed each other's presence. So,
the reason I lean Komet with that is just because, like I said, they've played together more. And then anytime you see a clip of the two of them, it's them just giving each other so much shit. Like, have you guys seen the clip? It was more recent. It was this offseason, I want to say, where Komet showed up wearing, what was it? Wasn't a do-rag, but it almost looked like one.
Yes.
And he walked over to Fields and he was like, yeah, thank God it's covering up that big ass forehead you got. And he just started bullying the shit out of him for it. And it was when Komet was mic'd up and he was like, oh, come on, you don't think it looks good? He was like, no.
No, I did see that, yeah. I just feel like, honestly, Fields seems like, I mean, I assume most quarterbacks get along with most of their weapons, but Fields just seems like everyone loves him. It's just like he gets along with everyone so well. I mean, there was that one Bears reporter who's like, Justin Fields and Cole Kmet don't like each other.
Hub Arkush is an old, sad man. We do not pay any attention to his existence.
He was just very wrong. But I don't know. Fields just he seems like a good dude and like he's very chill and everyone seems to get along with him. Like they the little skit they just did where it was like the script writing for the NFL season. Justin Fields was in that with like Jalen Ramsey, I think Jamar Chase, DK, and Dexter Lawrence, and I think that was it.
Kirk
was in it. Kirk O'Chains. There you go.
Yeah,
but
Kirk O'Chains wakes up like this.
They did a little video thing where it was like if you were in a movie, like what actor would play you, and I think it was either Jalen Ramsey or Jamar Chase said for Justin Fields, Eddie Murphy. Because he's just a goofball, apparently, which I think is a super, like, he doesn't seem to, like, give that off too much, like, in press conferences, because he's very, like, you know, head in the game, super serious, but, like, outside of it, he's a goofball, and I love that.
Well, you can tell that even just from the mic'd up stuff. Like, him going at Komet like that, I can tell you right now, I can't think of the last time a Bears quarterback would openly make fun of their tight end knowing it would get put on the internet. Like, Mitch was too nice to do that, and I'm not saying Fields is an asshole. Like, obviously, he was being playful. But Mitch, I think, was too nice to critique anyone on anything. And Jay would have just been like, yeah, it's fine. And walked away.
Also,
like,
Jay had Martellus Bennett, who also, just like Krutz, prone to strangling his teammate. So
I think I want to see an interaction between Jay Cutler and Martellus Bennett because I do not think there could be two more opposite human beings on this planet. Like, Martellus Bennett is the goofiest, loudest, most personable human ever, and Jay Cutler hates everyone who breathes. So, like, okay, this is a little off topic, but since we're just talking about quarterbacks and their connections with players, we've all seen the video of Devin Hester talking about Jay Cutler, right?
I'm not.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't think so.
So he was I forget what the interview itself was called, but essentially the idea was he was playing pool with somebody and they were telling stories. Yeah. And he was telling this story about this one time where, you know, the guy asked him what Jay Cutler was like, and he said, oh, Jay's the most awkward human being I've ever met. He said that the only person Jay would talk to in the locker room was Brandon Marshall. And there was this one point where Devin Hester and Julius Peppers were standing on the sideline watching the offense like run through plays, and every single play Jay would throw to Brandon Marshall. And finally, Devin Hester was like, hey, I bet he's going to throw to Marshall again. And Peppers was like, there's no way. And he said, I'll bet you $100. Throws it to Marshall again. Best 2 out of 3. Throws it to Marshall again. Best 3 out of 5. Throws it to Marshall again. And it kept going on and on and on. And finally, like, it got to the point where Peppers had to be like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this shit anymore. This is ridiculous. And I find that so funny because, again, Brandon Marshall is like the most loud, funny, goofy human ever. And, you know, obviously he's had his struggles with mental health and wasn't exactly the most stable guy during his playing career. And I say that now because he does his podcast and he seems a lot better. And, he seems to be in a better place. So I say that because he's grown. I point that out because he's grown. He's in a better spot. I'm not bringing that up to make fun of him or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, he just seems like the exact opposite type of person Jay Cutler would want to be around. But apparently he was the only player on the Bears that Jay Cutler liked. And I find that so funny. I'll have to send you the link to that video because I don't do the story justice, but it is hilarious listening to Devin Hester tell it.
Miller just has all these tales for us. He told us a tale last week, and we have another one today.
I'm deep into the mid 2010s Bears lore.
I mean, fair enough. That was a gold mine of just fuckery. We had Mark Trustman.
Yeah,
dude, Mark Trustman does not know football.
Oh my god! Do you remember how we ended up getting Trustman? What we did?
Because I don't know what we did, but I know
we chose him over Arians. Is all I remember.
I know
we didn't choose him over Arians. We had offered Arians the job. Publicly said that he accepted. Arians said, "No, the fuck, I did not." Pulled out of the coaching search because of that. And then they were like, let's hire the guy that just won the CFL championship, and everything went to shit.
Yes.
I think that's where just the Bears went from NFC championship, we're one game away from the Super Bowl to, well, we did not have anywhere near playoff expectations for many, many years until Matt Nagy fumbled into a surprisingly good defense because of Vic Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
And then we fell back into utter shit. And now we have the greatest team of all time. So.
And all of this was kickstarted by firing the best head coach we'd had since Mike Ditka after a 10-6 season.
And he helped us this season too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was straight up because Lovey got fired because we hired the new GM who just straight up didn't like him.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't even a reason. It was just nah, don't like him. I want my own guy. Remember that was a big deal. And my uncle, who is a Bears fan, he always brings it up. He's like, I hate.
It was like a small scale Jerry Jones versus Jimmy Johnson type feud, where that actually mattered because Jimmy Johnson's one of the best head coaches ever. And Lovey was great. Don't get me wrong, but he's no Jimmy Johnson. Or no, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. He brought right. Did he bring in Jimmy Johnson after Tom Landry, or did he fire Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah, no, he fired Tom Landry and then Jimmy Johnson.
Okay. But he doesn't like Jimmy Johnson, and that's why Jimmy Johnson's not in the Ring of Honor. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was some issue with Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. Okay. That makes more sense.
They won a Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson as well, so.
Yeah, but it was the team Jimmy Johnson built.
Yeah, and then they haven't been back in the last
Jimmy Johnson was the last great head coach the Cowboys had. And they still won't put him in the Ring of Honor because Jerry Jones is a dick. That's neither here nor there.
This is a Bears podcast.
Yeah. What were we talking about? The
Lovey Smith.
The waivers, right?
Yeah.
We got way off top. That was 20 minutes ago.
Well, the thing is, I don't think anyone's that shocked by what the Bears did.
I'm a little shocked by Travis because I thought we would trade him to a team that needs him. I thought we'd get a deal done that for a fourth.
I thought at most we would get a maybe a sixth or a seventh. He definitely would not have gotten a fourth. He's in the last year of his deal. He's been
last year of his deal.
Very inconsistent.
He's a rotational edge that's inconsistent. And at the time, it was thought that he wanted out and was requesting a trade. And when that becomes public, value for a player goes down.
True.
Because you can't haggle as much. Because if you have a guy that's I'm not with the Jonathan Taylor thing, right? I don't know why the fuck the Colts ever thought they'd get a first rounder out of him.
Or Jalen Waddle.
Oh my! I don't even want to acknowledge that happened.
Oh my god!
But anyways, you got a running back, which is already a depleted position, and he is basically telling you, "I am not going to play football for you. You do not have any leverage in that trade. You got to give him away for what you can get if you're going to get any value out of him, right?" So that's Jonathan Taylor, who's a really good football player. Travis Gibson is all right. So it's tough. I'm not surprised that we had to waive him. I knew he wouldn't make the final 53. I really didn't think we'd find a trade partner for him. The only name that I was upset by that got waived was Travis Bell, but even then it makes sense because you're not going to carry 5 DTs. And the only reason I'm upset about that, or I was upset about that, is because I'm worried about Zach Pickens as our backup nose tackle.
Mhm.
But I mean, if I'm over here complaining about a backup nose tackle, I'm probably nitpicking. So
Definitely.
See, my thing is always like, whenever you're like a diehard fan of a team, there's always like those guys who probably don't even deserve to make the roster, but you're like, I really like this player for whatever reason, and then whenever they get cut, you get super disappointed about it. Like D'Anthony Jones, I'm still very, very upset about it, and then he still hasn't been signed to the practice squad.
Well, if he's got to clear waivers, we'll probably just sign the practice squad afterwards.
No, I think he already cleared waivers. He just hasn't been signed to a practice squad. And then there was the whole rumor that the Vikings have interest in him, and it caused me to tweet some very questionable things, which we won't delve into. But
please pop that up on the screen right now.
I'll try my best.
You won't do it.
If you can do that, just like for added effect. But we won't talk about it. But I will be very upset. Is the general gist of it?
That's one way to put it.
Milka Walker was my guy that was upset that he got cut. Besides Travis Gibson, because he's a starting caliber linebacker. He's just
I wouldn't be surprised if they're still trying to bring him back. Because the issue is when they claimed him off waivers, they inherited his contract. He's making like $3 million, and you're not going to pay your fourth or fifth linebacker $3 million.
True. Yeah.
That's the issue there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're negotiating to try to bring him back, especially, like I said earlier, Dylan Cole missed practice today. I don't know where he's at. If he ends up getting put on IR, I'm just saying that's worst case scenario. For all I know, he had a tummy ache and couldn't practice today. Like, I have no idea what's wrong with him. Coach, my tummy hurts. I can't practice today.
Eberflus would probably make him run more.
Eberflus would fucking make him go one-on-one with Gervon Dexter.
My God. Why don't we bring up Gervon Dexter for the zombie apocalypse? Bro is literally like the Hulk.
He's too big. He has so much area to bite, bro.
But bro would throw zombies. He would just grab them by the head and just toss them like 50 feet.
I mean, maybe.
But yeah, Mykal Walker's I honestly think he can start on many squads. I just don't know where he would end up. I wouldn't doubt if he just goes somewhere else, but I would really love to keep him in Chicago, just to keep him away from Green Bay or Minnesota, because Minnesota needs linebackers. Even though Geek loves Ivan Pace, I don't know how good that man is.
He's good.
Yeah, the only other team in the North that doesn't need a linebacker is the Lions because they have Jack Campbell, but
he's not even the best linebacker on that team.
He is.
Hot Rod. Totally Jack not Campbell's a biased answer.
Bro is
English.
Biased doesn't matter.
No, Hot Rod. Hot Rod's the best linebacker in football. Fred Warner who? ?
We're running into some questionable topics. Miller looks super confused.
I will be right back.
See, my favorite thing is I'm going to say some of these things like Hot Rod's better than Fred Warner, and then it's going to, like, that snippet. It's going to
it's on TikTok.
It's going to get taken, and then it's going to get spread, and people are going to think it's my actual opinion.
Oh, it's on TikTok already.
That's not a good thing.
Please don't worry. I don't think we're big enough for that to matter yet.
Oh, I'll make it matter.
Listen, TikTok spreads like wildfire when you have dumb opinions. Why do you think Fantasy Football AZ is so popular? Bro spits shit out of his ass. And like,
bro, can I figure out if he loves or hates Justin Fields?
What do you mean? Has he ever said anything nice about Justin Fields?
He said something random about Justin Fields would be like the best fantasy quarterback. It was like a positive thing. It was random.
The only things I've seen is like, oh, he's a good fantasy quarterback. Not that he's a good real quarterback. Like, he always adds in that little like. He's just to let you know he sucks.
He's probably racist.
Let me know dying.
I'm just gonna point out I'm probably like his biggest.
Miller has beef.
I'm not the dude.
Nothing Miller's better.
The dude's takes are gone.
Listen, I don't even hate him. Like, I don't think about Fantasy Football AZ enough to be considered a hater.
See, I just wouldn't. But he says some dumb things that people take that snippet and then post on like Twitter. And so I see it all the time and I hate it.
The most attention I give that man is I see tweets like that and I'll just reply and say average Fantasy Football AZ take. Like, that's it. I do not care. He has no idea what he's talking about. That's apparent. I've decided to stop giving him a platform and talking about him, even though I'm doing it right now. He's a moron.
No one go and look at him because that gives him views. We all just have to hate him.
If you go and watch his content, you will lose brain cells. Even if you're looking for fantasy football advice, I'm sure he's wrong there.
Go to Walter
if you want good fantasy football advice, check out Maher Sports on TikTok. Let me tell you. Let me make sure I got that handle right. Little plug for you. Not even my plug. Just a guy I had on a video that knows ball. Let me double check here. Maher _sports_. You can't see it. Dude has 45 followers and deserves way more because he knows ball.
Valid. I want to bring up one thing because we kind of called it last video. PG Walker is officially no longer a Bear. I believe he's a Brown now because he just got picked up.
Practice squad,
Wait,
yeah.
Did he get picked up?
He got signed to the practice squad.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about PG Walker no longer being a Bear, and that Nathan Peterman is also no longer a Bear, even though he was?
I thought Peterman got picked up on the practice squad.
Did he?
Am I wrong on that?
I didn't see him get picked up yet, but they said they want to bring him back, but he was viewing his options or something.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
As for PJ Walker, not in a rude way. I really don't care. Bro, he didn't fit with us. I don't think he's a threat to he's going to go to another team, then he's going to be, a great player there and he's going to come back and bite us in the butt. He's a serviceable backup quarterback and that's all he is. So I would he's not on the team. I'm not going to, spend time thinking about him or anymore.
Yeah. No, he's fine for what he is. He got outperformed by a younger quarterback that the team had connections to dating way back before they even signed PJ Walker. His cap hit wasn't that much, so it wasn't like you're eating a lot to get rid of him. It's whatever. He got a new job. That's something I wasn't worried about. That's why I was comfortable being I want PJ Walker off this team because I knew he would find a job somewhere else because he doesn't suck. So as long as he's getting paid, as long as he's somewhere else, good for him. I'm not too bothered by it.
Paul said he wants to bring back Peterman. I don't know if it was on the 53-man or the practice squad. Paul said he wants to bring back Peterman. My God, can I talk?
He's a good veteran presence for the locker room. So
definitely, yeah.
And he's not so bad that he throws 6 interceptions a half anymore. So he's not
he definitely has developed.
Bro, he developed from an absolute worst player in the NFL to I'd like him on the team, good locker room dude. So that's a great improvement.
Mm-hmm. Any other guys you were surprised got cut or slightly upset by? I know that Miller said he wasn't upset by or surprised by much, but anyone that I know Robert Burns got cut. How do you feel about that?
I feel we kind of expected that, and even
he's the first squad.
Yeah, he had to go up against a top 5 fullback. He's not going to make the roster over Kari.
All right, here's the important question, Miller. Would you rather have Burns in the practice squad or be on an active roster? That's not our own.
The problem with that is, now I'd probably rather have him on an active roster because I think he could start at fullback on another team. But the problem is, all the fullback spots are kind of taken. There might be 1 or 2 teams that are out there looking for a potential suitor. But even then, Clint Ratkovich is available. He is a much, much better fullback. No offense to Robert Burns. Clint Ratkovich is just great. Derek Watt's still out there. Oh my God. Why Andy Janovich is still out there. There's still a handful of guys that are out there that are better. So I wouldn't see a world where he'd make a roster right now, which is tough. So I'm glad he's on the practice squad. No, Panthers are running Tommy Tremble at fullback now.
Interesting.
What's the tight end?
Tommy. No, he is a better. Tommy Tremble should have been a fullback to begin his career. He's one of the few guys that was a failed tight end turned fullback that I'm okay with because he's built like a fullback and plays like a fullback. And he's better than Giovanni Ricci by a lot. So it is what it is.
Fair enough.
A name that, like, I don't know if I would say surprised me that didn't make the roster, but like, I'm kind of reaching here, but Kendall Williamson, he was our 7th round safety pick out of Stanford, but again, that's just a huge reach.
I was a little surprised he didn't make it over AJ Thomas, but both of them ended up getting waived anyways, and we brought in a UDFA, so. Or not a UDFA, a different guy off waivers. I think he was actually drafted. I can't remember. But.
I believe he was the other Colt guy, right?
He's from the Rams.
No, Rams.
Oh, Rams.
Darius Rush got picked up by the Chiefs, which is fucking crazy, by the way. I don't know how he made it.
There is definitely some underlying, like, something to that.
Can someone explain the hype behind Darius Rush? Because I've never heard about this man beforehand.
He's really smart, physical corner.
Okay.
Well, he was
he would have fit Fluce's system perfectly.
And he was what round was he picked in? It was 5th,
I want to say.
Yeah, early and so he went from a 5th round pick, like in this year's draft, to he got waived by the Colts, and he got picked up by the Chiefs, but they were literally last in waiver order. So that means no other team put a claim in for him, which is
that's kind of
bizarre. Like, there's got to be something else. Like, dude is not that bad at football.
Yeah.
Another name that I'm kind of happy he's gone is Kendall Vildor was waived. Mm-hmm. I more because he's just wearing 22. I believe 22 should be like the number that's like given to like one of our best players because Matt Forte.
Now it's Elijah Hicks
in all our hearts. Did Elijah Hicks get 20?
He switched to 22.
We need to cut.
Yeah. We do not. Respect the man. Elijah Hicks, again, not a starting caliber player, but for a depth piece at safety, I
good special teamer.
Yeah. Also, Travis Gibson, he didn't get picked up off waivers, which is kind of interesting. I thought someone would give him a shot, but given they still have to have his salary, which is like the $3 million or whatever, it probably made more sense to wait. Yeah. Well, Vildor got picked up off waivers, so they still have to pay his salary.
Yeah.
Who'd he go to? Titans?
Titans, yeah.
Well, they need a tight end. Not a tight end. Oh, my God. They need a cornerback. You're real bad.
Yeah.
I don't know where tight end came out of. I think it was just because tight end.
Or just dumb.
Yeah, that's probably the last part about it. Probably the last part of the equation. So I just cannot think right now. Yeah. We are on the bye week of the preseason. Next, and then September 10th is the Packers versus Bears game, which is very exciting to have a rivalry game start up our season like it always is. Hopefully have more of the shades of the first half of 2018's week 1 rather than the last half of week 1 of 2018, or just last few years of versus the Packers. We're versing Jordan Love that week, and it should be fun to have Justin Jones just sit on him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can show that all the Packers fans they do not know ball.
Is it bad that I'm kind of scared of Jordan Love?
I'm scared that there might be some untapped fucking like rage, like he went like a Super Saiyan on us because it's his first like actual start, like not beyond Rodgers. So
I've never been like as low on Jordan Love as like most Bears fans are. I'm not saying I ever thought he was going to be like an elite level guy, but like I went back and I made a mock draft for like the first round of that draft, and I had him going in the first round. I actually had him going to New England, not Green Bay. But I like from a potential standpoint, I thought he has the potential to be pretty good because he has all the physical traits you want, and he did get to sit behind a Hall of Fame level quarterback. So I don't think he's gonna be that elite level, but I think he's gonna be much better than Bears fans are giving him credit for. Yeah. Like, I don't think the Packers are going to be a bad team. I think they're going to be like very middle of the pack, kind of like how the Bears are. But also the Packers have had elite like Hall of Fame quarterbacks for the past 30 years. So
yeah, I'm not scared of Jordan Love, but I can understand the hesitation given the luck the Packers have had at quarterback, especially because we don't know what Love is yet. So I get it. I don't care though. I'm not. I'm not fazed by him.
Yeah, he's a weird situation because he also just got paid as well, like an extension for it was a 1-year extension.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically, it's like a prove a year for him now on his first season, which is, I mean, kind of funny to me because they sat him for 4 years, and now he gets to prove it himself with one chance, and with no help besides Christian Watson, which is gonna be super funny when Christian Watson can't catch a ball for his life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very high on Romeo Doubs. I'm not gonna lie. I was since college, but again, I think I've mentioned this on Twitter. I think that even if Love is talented, with having your entire receiver core and tight ends and whatnot being like rookies and second year pros, that's not how you help a quarterback develop. No matter how talented they could become, there's growing pains in young players, and if that's all you surround your young quarterback with, it doesn't usually lead to success. I mean, it's kind of not exactly the same, but similar to what the Bears did with Fields this year, where he had he had some weapons, but they were young. They weren't like proven vets or anything, and it didn't lead to much success. Definitely led to more growing pains for the quarterback. But I think that, I don't know. I think Love will be like very middle of the pack, like from that like broad range, but like 15 to 22nd, like ranked quarterback, like not bottom barrel, but like not
15.
I think he could
15?
get that high.
That's like Tua, Justin Fields range.
I'm aware. I think Fields will jump above that, but
well, yeah, I understand that, but like you're telling me that you think that Jordan Love his first season be around the Tua range?
If he hits his ceiling of in my brain, his ceiling this year, yes. I'm not saying he's going to, but I could see it happening.
I see his ceiling as Mac Jones. Like the 20,
which
25 range.
Where do you have what do you say 25?
20 to 25 range. I think Mac Jones is just,
I thought you just said flat out 25. I can respect 20 to 25.
20 to 25.
But like Mac Jones isn't bad. He's just not a very flashy guy.
You're not looking like that.
But
there's
also
a reason why
Mac Jones is like right around the Jared Goff range, bud.
Which is the 20 range.
No, it's like between 15 and 18.
See, I also so the difference between like Mac
like
Jones,
it's right behind like Tua and Fields is where Mac and Goff and like Daniel Jones are at right now.
I hate Daniel Jones. I really don't think.
I don't like Daniel Jones that much either, but he can at least hit an open receiver.
Okay, but the thing is, the difference between like Mac Jones and Jordan Love, Mac Jones, I'm not a huge fan of using like this player this is their ceiling and this is their floor. But Mac Jones has like I would say like a higher floor, but he doesn't have a super high ceiling because he doesn't have those physical traits. Jordan Love has the physical traits you want in a quarterback, that his ceiling is higher than Mac Jones is. It's just his floor is also lower.
Mac Jones is going to peak at like 15. He's not going to be an elite quarterback ever, but he's fine. Like
I'm talking like this season only, because you said like his ceiling this season is like 15, and I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, Jordan Love probably has a ceiling higher than Mac Jones, definitely. Yes,
I did say broad range of 15 to 22, by the way. But also, it does take. Okay, so back in the day, rookie quarterbacks did not start. That just wasn't a thing. They would sit behind quarterbacks for a few years to develop. And I feel like nowadays it's like, oh, throw the rookie in. If they suck year one, then, banish them to the shadow realm. You don't get a second chance. And I think that the Packers were actually very smart in sitting Jordan Love, getting him that development behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
That's 3 years.
That used to be like what happened. That was reasonable. I mean, that's what Aaron Rodgers did. I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers, but it's good for development for a young quarterback to be able to sit behind especially a Hall of Fame level quarterback like that.
But I also think the issue
on the quarterback, and it depends on the situation. Some quarterbacks need it, some don't. Like Bryce Young is not a quarterback that would ever need to sit. Anthony Richardson doesn't need to sit. But you look at a guy like Mahomes, who was the definition of raw coming out of college. He needed to sit.
And I feel like Jordan Love, again, I'm not saying he's Mahomes, but he was that raw type of quarterback who needed time to sit.
For sure.
I think you're thinking, like, people are thinking of him as either like a rookie quarterback or like he was benched because he was bad, when in reality he was a raw quarterback prospect that was benched because he was sitting behind debatably the best quarterback in football. it's very different, and I think that's why Bears fans are expecting him to be bad because it's his first year and stuff. Which I think there will be growing pains still, regardless, because playing time, like actual game time, is different than like practice. But he won't be like horrendous, like these young quarterbacks, like these rookies thrown into the fire are. I think that's why I'm saying very middle of the pack.
I think Jordan Love's production and his development really depended upon Rodgers teaching him. And as we've seen from like past years, it didn't seem like he liked Love at all. And we've seen this when watching Hard Knocks. He's teaching Zach Wilson. We've seen the reports of him teaching Zach Wilson at camp. And if Aaron Rodgers refused to develop and teach Jordan Love is not going to play well because he didn't have the guidance that even Favre taught Rodgers a lot of things because it was his job that was given to him for those last few years.
I think you're overblowing the Rodgers and Love thing. Like, I think Rodgers was upset more at the team than Love because the team drafted his replacement before he felt he was ready to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Rodgers still worked with Jordan Love a little bit. I'm sure he didn't just leave the kid out to dry.
I don't doubt that either, but I'm saying that he's not the level that we've seen with him working with Zach Wilson. He has faith in Zach Wilson.
Maybe not, but Jordan Love's also probably a better quarterback than Zach Wilson, and to begin with. So
and there's also the aspect of like hands-on, like one-on-one teaching is good, but also if you're a young quarterback, just even being in the same room as a Hall of Fame guy like Aaron Rodgers, seeing like what he does, his routine in day-to-day life, like how he practices, how he watches film. Like you get to experience all that.
And working with the coaches he's worked with too.
Also fair. Which I also want to preface this, or I guess not preface, but like I also want to point out, if there's certain people like cough Djax who think that this is just me praising Jordan Love, this is not what it is. I'm not saying he's some elite guy. I just think he's not bad, and that's all you're gonna get.
He's not
from me.
Dog shit, but he's also not anything. Jordan Love is a big fat question mark. No one knows what he is yet. Let's cool it.
That's true. But I also don't think, whatever.
I can say nice things about rivals sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
See, I feel like the Packers are the only rival you can't say anything good about because of the hatred that's been imbued for the last 100 years.
See, I see that, but also from like a I don't know what the word would be, a creator standpoint or whatever. I try and be as non-biased as possible. Like Christian Watson, I made it known I loved Christian Watson going into the draft, and I wanted the Bears to get him, and then he went to the Packers, and I'm not going to be one of those people who like, you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. He sucks. He's awful. No, it's Christian Watson. I still think is a very good receiver, and I think he's going to be very, very good in the NFL.
Yeah,
I think he will be. I think he just needs to figure out how to hold onto the ball.
Yeah, that's like a lot of that is definitely his weakness is his hands, but like, I mean, not to the same extent, I guess, but like Mooney, his big problem has always been his hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concentration thing. Drops are fixable.
They definitely are. I think Christian, not to the level that Packers fans have imbued him. They've called him Baby Moss before, which is insane.
That's one dude, and he's a total moron.
True. But I mean, I think he has a potential to be a good wide receiver. I don't know about great, but like I like him enough. I can vie with the Christian Watson. That's the only good thing I'll say about a Packer today.
Okay. Josiah DeGuara is cool.
They drafted 2 rookie tight ends. I love tight ends, so
Yeah.
Okay, now we got to move on from praising the Packers.
All right,
we've dedicated like 5 minutes to dedicating them or to praising them.
It's definitely more than 5 minutes.
Shut up.
Since next week we'll probably be talking more about the Packers game, more about like the in-depth things about that. I want to just throw out for the whole season, since we're about to kick off the season, our ceilings and floors for the team this year. I know Miller had this in the Run the North podcast. I don't know if he helped.
I forget what I said.
Just give it off the top of the brain.
Ceiling's probably like 10 and 7. Floor is probably like 6 and 11.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I'm not a big record prediction enjoyer. Too many variables.
That could be a floor that like Justin Fields is like a top 12 quarterback at the end of the season. And
6-11 is just the defense does not click at all. Like,
fair.
I think this is a lame answer, but I think I'm going to go with the exact same numbers that David did. I mean, like, I could maybe change it by like one game or something, but like, I don't know. I don't think we have like a super high ceiling of like winning 12, 13, 14 games or anything like that. Like, this team is better and much more improved than last year, but it's still not like a good or great team. It's just like a improving team. The defense still, kind of scares me with the defensive line because there's still a bunch of question marks there. But I also don't think we're like, bottom of the barrel team like we were last year with our we won 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I think we're just kind of.
Yeah. Honestly, I think our ceiling is 11-6, and our floor is 7-10. I know that's not a big difference in what Miller and Jarrett just said, but like, I do think that we have a potential to luckily skate maybe into the number 1 in the North. That's if the Lions, the Vikings show their flaws like they did last year, and they don't look into as many games as they did. And then the Packers, since they lost Aaron Rodgers, who is a Hall of Fame quarterback, I have to acknowledge that. You lose a Hall of Fame quarterback, it's going to drop you down a long tunnel. So I can see us luckily moving into that number 1 spot in the North, but I really doubt it. If anything, I think we get the 7th seed at the highest. I think we're probably going to miss the playoffs. Just because there's other loaded teams in other divisions, like we have the NFC East, which I honestly think every team in the NFC East can make it. We have Seattle and San Francisco in the West. So the wild card, I think it might be the harder part than win the North, and win the North might be the easier option. But I mean, it depends how the offense clicks, because we've seen them play well so far, but we never know how it's going to go with the long season ahead when they have injuries and we have just players who are just playing off, because our line's really shaky right now with the unknown of Tevin Jenkins' injury. And then our defense is kind of like a question mark, because we have one of the best linebacker cores in the NFL. Our secondary is amazing besides a few little pieces, but it's those edges. Like Miller said, our edges are shaky.
Our edges, it's the interior defensive line too, because there's question marks there. I like the trajectory of them, but we don't know what Dexter is yet. We don't know what Pickens is yet. And that leaves Justin Jones and Andrew Billings, who are good starters, but when you don't have depth in the front 2, like in those 2 middle spots, it's a little tough.
And you know what? And if the defense and offense play amazing, there's one last part of the game, that's special teams. And if our special teams falls apart, we're fucked. Because remember the Chargers team? First in offense, first in defense, and missed the playoffs because their special teams could not special team.
Well, one part of our special teams that won't fail us is definitely our punting. Trenton Taylor is too good for that.
Punting and punt returning. Shout out Trent Taylor again.
Quirky white boys, let's go.
What's Trent Taylor's number? We've got another.
We're 11 in Cincy, so I have no idea. I don't think.
I know that Feeney got 67.
We're gonna release Mooney and give Trent Taylor his number.
This is the play for Mooney to get 0, like he wanted.
True.
That'd be so
0,
cool
1,
if
2.
we got 0.
So the 0, 1, 2. You guys, anything else that you want to add for today's episode before we walk into next week when we talk about the Packers more in depth than we should ever talk about the Packers?
Well, we have to do that twice in the season, but yes.
No, I don't have anything to say.
I think we about covered everything, even though this episode was the most off-topic one yet. So
off-topic, and the energy died at the end because I am exhausted. I hate college. I have to do another fucking hour and a half long recording here tonight.
I have 4 assignments to do tonight, so
we had to wait.
It's annoying.
We had the cuts and releases, but like nothing like major happened. We didn't pick up anything major, and then the Bills game was kind of like, okay, whatever. It was just kind of those guys to audition for other jobs.
Here, I'll give you a little rant, okay?
All right, let's go.
Bills game. A lot of people are talking about Tremaine Edmonds, right?
Yes.
Dude played one drive, and on that drive, all he did, because it was the preseason, is the Bears sat in a very basic zone defense, Because again, it's the preseason. You're not doing anything exotic. You're not doing anything crazy. You're just sitting in a base defense. And Edmonds' entire job that drive was to sit in his zone, cover his grass, and watch the quarterback. He did exactly that for the entirety of the game, or for the entirety of the drive, right? Someone did a cut up. There were 39 seconds of Tremaine Edmonds gameplay on during the preseason game. He did that perfectly fine. There was one play where he tried to trail somebody and left his zone, which is a normal thing to do in zone coverage for a linebacker, mind you. If you see someone cross your zone and you want to trail them, that's normal. But in the process, I think it was Tyreek Stevenson bumped into him, and that happens. Miscommunication. First time those two guys have been on the field together, it happens. There's another clip where Edmonds missed a tackle. Whatever. It's preseason. Every single response to that from a non-Bears fan I have seen is, the Bears couldn't have paid Roquan Smith that money. The Bears couldn't have done this with Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith this, Roquan Smith that. Please shut the fuck up. It is so annoying. It is so frustrating. Roquan Smith is a great football player. Do not get me wrong. This is nothing against him. This has nothing to do with Roquan Smith himself or what he brings to the table. Well, actually, it kind of does have to do what he brings to the table, because he's not the type of linebacker Eberflus needs. Eberflus runs a defense that is heavy in Tampa 2, something that has been in the NFL for the past 20 years. And when it came around and when it was at its peak, a lot of that was done with a big, rangy middle linebacker, right? Prime example, Brian Urlacher in Lovie Smith's defense. Urlacher was what, like 6'4", 245, 250? Edmonds is like 6'5", 249, something like that. They're both massive dudes who are killer in run support and are rangy enough to hold their own in pass coverage. Urlacher was elite in coverage. Edmonds is slowly getting better, right? Roquan Smith is 5'10", weighs like 215, and gets swallowed up in run defense. Now, he's a better coverage player than Edmonds, but his run defense is non-existent. And we saw Roquan Smith trying to play the role that Edmonds is going to play in this defense last season early on, and he looked terrible. He did not look like Roquan Smith. I don't understand why this is so hard for people to understand, because anytime I see the Roquan Smith this, Roquan Smith that, I say the same thing. He didn't fit Eberflus's scheme. And I am met with the same response. If the scheme doesn't fit a top 2 linebacker, then it's not a good scheme. First of all, no one was calling Roquan Smith a top 2 linebacker in Chicago, so let's stop with that. Second of all, just because the defense does not play to the strengths of an undersized linebacker, because that is what Roquan is, an undersized linebacker, just because it does not play to the strengths of an undersized linebacker does not mean it's bad. It's a good defense. It has worked for 20 some odd years in the NFL. It has given Eberflus a top 15 defense every time he's actually had players on his defense. It made Shaq Leonard look like an all-pro, and Tremaine Edmonds is more physically gifted than Shaq Leonard. Not saying he's a better football player just yet, but he can be. And I don't see why more people outside of Chicago don't see that. Like, Brett Coleman explains it the best when he talks about it. The definition of, or like the how do I put this? The action that Edmonds has to do in Tampa 2 is called running the pull, where it's essentially Tampa 2 becomes like cover 3 with the middle linebacker being responsible for the middle third, and he just has to cover that whole third of the field. Roquan Smith and his 5'10" frame are not doing that. He is too small to do it. Yeah. Edmonds has the perfect build to do that. So the point is, Roquan Smith is gone. I'm sick of hearing about him. I wish him the best in Baltimore. He got his contract. He looked great in Baltimore last year. The Bears won in that trade. Roquan Smith won in that trade. And Baltimore won in that trade. All 3 sides benefited. Let's stop talking about it. It's over with. The Bears got a linebacker that fits them better. Baltimore got their missing piece at linebacker. Everybody wins. Everybody lives happily ever after. Let's fucking drop it and just enjoy the fact that Tremaine Edmonds is going to be the newest monster of the Midway and absolutely fuck shit up at the Mike linebacker position.
Agreed.
Also a reminder, Edmonds and Sanborn and Edwards combined are all making less than Roquan Smith, and I would much rather have the 3 of them than just Roquan.
And I mean, Edmonds is only 24. I think Edwards is like 26. Sanborn is 3.
Yep.
So like
something like that. Yeah.
We're still young and they're improving. Sanborn was a UDFA, so he's still really cheap, and
we've got Noah Sewell in there.
No, I know it for a fact. Jack Sanborn's 23 because we established on the chat that he's like 10 days younger than me or whatever,
which is
something
crazy
like that.
Isn't it?
God, it makes me feel old.
I'm not there yet. I don't think there's a single player that on the Bears that is currently younger than me. But that day is going to come after draft day, and that's going to make me really depressed.
I also find it bizarre I'm the old one of the group, but
yeah,
I feel like I don't look the old one. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, who hold on, real quick. Who do we think looks like the old one?
Miller, honestly,
the youngest of the group. Yeah,
it's the beard. It's the beard.
I know.
See,
I know. I got the beard. If I shave my beard, I'd look like I'm 12. I know.
See, Joe's got the baby face, so he looks the youngest. And
I have the beard. I have the stubble. All right, give me some.
You have
credit.
something.
I get the Henry Cavill type of like full ass beard, like at the beginning of Man.
Please do not compare yourself to Henry Cavill.
I said the beard, not him.
Please do not compare yourself to Henry Cavill.
Hey, he's no longer the Witcher, so you know.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, fun fact about the Bears, or fun fact about age. The Bears' average age on the team went down this season, despite adding 76-year-old Mercedes Lewis, and I think that's really funny.
We are not the youngest team in the league because the Colts have no one over the age of 30, which is surprising them. But I learned that.
I think the average age for us is like 25.68, and it went down from like 25.76 or something.
So minuscule.
Still got younger, technically. Yeah. I'm also curious what the average age of the team would be like if Mercedes Lewis wasn't on it. I wonder how much he brings down or brings up the average, I guess.
I'll try to figure that out before this video goes out.
I'm trying to think because he's by far like the oldest. I know Lucas Patrick's 34. Above 30. Cody Whitehair's above 30.
Mm-hmm.
We have a young team, honestly. I'm struggling to think of old dudes.
We're set up for the next like 10 years as long as we can maintain guys. And we can, move on from the older guys and move on from the guys who fall apart, like whomever. We get a good team.
Also, completely off topic, but shout out to the freshmen at my college who are currently using the college's public Snapchat story to air the fact that some kid who is apparently an alleged sexual abuser is at my school and is trying to cover that fact up. And
that's
instead of it's good, but I just find it odd that instead of going to campus and like reporting him or going to campus police and reporting him, because apparently it got brought up because he posted something, like posted a selfie on there asking like where the parties were at, and someone was like, and someone else was like, do not let this man into your parties, and then he just got exposed with like 20 screenshots of fucking Facebook Messenger messages, which is wild.
Damn, risen over Facebook Messenger is definitely the way to go.
Clearly.
Was he 35?
No, he's like 18, but
that's what I'm saying.
It's a piece of shit. I'm glad he's getting aired, but maybe tell an adult. Like I know we're technically adults. I know we're technically adults, but like they're college freshmen. They're not adults.
Tell a grown up.
Yeah, tell a grown up. Maybe go to an authority figure.
Tell someone who's
or just talk about it literally anywhere else but the school's public Snapchat story. Like there's maybe 30 people at the entire school of thousands of people that look at that Snapchat story. And I literally only look at it because it's fucking hilarious to watch the freshmen act up. Because every other picture is just like a freshman guy from like here up, like at the bottom of his phone screen. The caption's just like, where to hose at? And it's like, dude.
I wanna do my schools now because I feel like it's interesting.
It's just funny to watch. It's like that from the freshmen. The sophomores like play into the freshmen. The juniors, the year 3 kids like me don't talk. And then all the seniors just, and then all the seniors just post like pictures of themselves dying, like doing homework and shit. And it's not like literally dying, but just like being dead inside. And it's so funny. It's the epitome of the college experience. I can't even talk about. I am on that campus for maybe 2 hours a day, and then I leave immediately.
Oh, that was me. I never really did the college thing. Like I would go to class and then walk straight to my car and leave and talk to nobody.
Yeah,
I go to community college.
I have
campus for us.
I have gone to college for, this is my 3rd year. I have not made a single new friend, and I am not complaining. Those people scare me.
I'm in my 6th year, and I have not made a single friend the entire time.
You guys
all my friends in college are people I knew from like high school.
All my friends in college are people I knew from high school, and 2 of my professors.
Big
I'm chill with 2 of my professors because I've had them for multiple classes.
I can't do that. I would never be able to. Like, there's a power dynamic there, and also it's just like.
Well, I'm not saying I see him in the hallway and I'm like, "Yo, what's good, my guy?" Like, I'm not friends with them, but I'm like friendly with them. I can have a non-school related conversation with them.
See, I can't do that.
Well, I was always a teacher's pet in high school, so I never had a problem with that.
Makes sense. You were a theater kid.
I was a theater kid. I wish I was still a theater kid. I miss theater.
There has to be plays at your college.
There is. I just don't have the confidence for it anymore.
Bro is on a podcast on the internet, posts videos that are seen by literally tens of thousands of people. That Bears preview has 10,000 views.
I am more confident in my football opinions than I am in my singing ability.
No, we've heard you sing before. You can do it.
That's true. You have heard me sing before playing D&D.
Yeah, you could. You got it. Versus the confidence and the riz to.
What is this?
You'll see it here after like next year. We'll have a whole video of just Miller. Me and Jared will go down to Miller's place and just see his play. Who the fuck is texting the Discord?
Listen, I just like to point out, I don't remember if we mentioned it before or after the podcast, but I tweeted out the poll about like, what do you refer to me as?
Yeah.
I'd like to point out Miller is winning. But someone commented on it or replied to it, and he said, the question specifically was, what would you do if you saw me in public, right? How would you address me? And someone replied and said, I'd bow, for it is the Miller Football _ It's like, all right, man. That's one of my biggest fears, though, is walking around my college campus and someone being like, yo, are you Miller Football?
Dude, people from my high school, it's not that hard to find me from like my personal like basis, but like people from my high school found my YouTube and they were like, I was walking down the hallway. I was minding my own business because I was very antisocial. I was headphone in, didn't talk to anyone, and I heard, yo, what's up, Bat Duck? I'm like, oh my fucking god, who the fuck is talking to me? It's wild hearing your name that's not your name in public. It's wild.
Well, the good thing is, I would hear someone say David or Miller, so like, it's fine. But
with the addition of Miller Football is
my nickname.
I did have a close call once, but it wasn't like a fan. It was just someone who saw one of my TikToks on his For You page. Was like, yo, I've told you guys that story, right? We had to give oral presentations on something, and this guy was like, shut up. And we could pick anything. And I somehow couldn't, or no, that's a lie. I did talk about football. I talked about the relationship dynamic between Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka. This kid talked about how the NFL's Hall of Fame voting process needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he had you had to have a slideshow to go with your presentation. And he literally had a quote from me on his presentation. And it was something like, there has not been a fullback inducted into the Hall of Fame since 1982. And that is, I think he put effing unacceptable or something along those lines. And I remember that slide was up and I had my head down and I heard him read that and I peeked my head up and he and I made eye contact. And it was just an awkward moment. And then after class, I talked to him in the hallway and he was like, hey, listen, if it makes you feel any better, I don't watch your stuff that just popped up on my For You page last night at 3 a.m. and I threw it on my project because I thought it was a good point. I was like, hey, man, that's good reassuring for me. I'll take it.
You're a valid source, Bandit.
I am a valid. I can officially say I have been cited as a source in a college classroom.
Bro is better than Wikipedia.
Yeah, Miller's the famous one of the group.
I mean, if that's what you want to call it.
Well, see, my thing, like Miller said, like they'll refer to him by like his last name, so like it would still like be normal. My nickname in high school was literally J Rice. I was creative, so it would literally just be the people calling me by my nickname. The only one who has like an actual like different full on name is Bat Duck. So,
I'm
weird. I chose a pseudonym that never stuck. I literally never had kept. You can find my previous name on my YouTube channel. Just saying, my old videos of my friends saying it. Bro is gonna watch actually it was a 12-hour stream of me complaining.
Not gonna dig.
Oh, so well, we know what video it's from. It's only 12 hours, David.
Only.
There's other videos and stuff you can find. But yeah, since we got wildly off topic about things, I want to thank everyone for watching and hopefully listening through all this. I hope someone made it through this. I hope. But I want to thank you guys for listening and follow us on YouTube and Twitter. It should be on the screen somewhere. And we have a surprise for you guys next week, hopefully. And we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.